Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk. And on the docket today, first, there is a jury in the Patrick Frazee matter. Second, Nikolas Cruz, the Broward County shooter, has his day in court, but he doesn't like to follow the rules. Third, dumb criminal of the week. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk. We have a busy day today. Let's get right to it. First on the docket, Patrick Frazee. He is the man accused of killing the mother of his child and ex-girlfriend, Kelsey Berreth. Some 1,400 jurors from Teller County were brought in for the potential jury pool, and over the last 4 days, the court has been whittling down potential jurors. Now, normally what takes place when you have a large jury pool like this, and I've recently done one of these myself, you bring all the jurors in, you have them fill out questionnaires. What do they know about the case? Can they be fair and impartial? That's usually the big thing. Have they already formed an opinion about the particular case? And when you have a panel of 1,400 people, everyone's usually pretty liberal when it comes to getting rid of people. Like, why? Just get rid of them. Let's not try to rehabilitate them into being potential jurors. Let's get the people that have had no idea what's going on with this case, and let's just have them participate. So over the last 4 days, the potential jury panel was whittled down. As of this morning, there were some 90 potential jurors that were brought in that had passed basically the first screening, so to speak, of can they be fair and impartial. Some of these people may have heard about the case but haven't formed any opinions, or for the most part may say they know something, but they're willing to withhold judgment until they hear all the evidence in the case. For the most part, it's not that difficult to find people that haven't heard about a case. You think, oh my gosh, this has been on the news everywhere. There are so many people out there that just don't follow the news, don't care, have no interest in hearing what's on the evening news. So they have the 12 jurors, they have the 4 alternates, and jury, voir dire is completed. Then opening statements will commence, and then the presentation of evidence. There's been reports that the nurse, Crystal Lee Kenny, has arrived in Colorado traveling via airplane, apparently seen at the airport, and so she's going to make her way down there. The district attorney will probably call her relatively soon in the case. They're going to call the police officers, kind of set the stage, how it happened, why they got involved, and kind of lay the overall scene. Then they're going to bring in kind of their star witness to see how she does, is my guess, and then they'll try to clean it up from there. Hopefully we'll find out a lot more information. They've been very mum about this case, which is good. So it's not actually tried in the press, and we get the facts as they are admissible in court. But it's going to be an interesting case. We're going to see if the jury believes Miss Kenny, and we're going to see if the jury is ultimately convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that it was Mr. Patrick Frazee that did this, or was it Miss Kenny, or is she even deceased? We'll have to wait and see. All right. One more thing as it relates to the Patrick Frazee case. The judge has put a complete kibosh on any kind of TV cameras in the courtroom, has limited even anyone tweeting what's taking place in the courtroom. So it's going to be limited to reporters that are actually there taking notes and basically doing reports later. I've never heard of a judge limiting what's being tweeted. I've seen people live blog from high-profile cases because people have a right to know. This is my personal opinion. I would put cameras in every courtroom. Courtrooms are meant to be open to the public. Yes, anybody can go in and watch. There's no way that these people are going to necessarily be tainted because somebody's not tweeting what's taking place play by play in the courtroom. The witnesses are going to be sequestered. They can't talk to anybody about their testimony. So I just don't understand in a modern world why we're not allowing cameras in the courtroom, why we're not allowing someone live tweeting, and the judge even said no to a courtroom sketch artist participating and doing photos, saying that it would violate his previous order. Go figure. Next on the docket, we have the case of Nikolas Cruz. And for those who do not recall Nikolas Cruz, he is the confessed school shooter in Broward County, Florida. We're not going to get into the details, but young Mr. Cruz is now looking at a death penalty case. There was a pretrial conference held today, and it is set in the law that a criminal defendant has to be present at all critical stages of the proceedings. Now, Mr. Cruz doesn't want to be present, okay? I understand it's a convenience, but if you're going to trial and you have a death penalty case, you want your client there at every phase of the proceedings. And the reason for that is one, that they know what the heck is going on, and there can be no allegation made down the road that because the defendant wasn't present, that he didn't make any decisions that weren't knowingly and voluntarily made. The court in this particular case, the Judge Elizabeth Shearer, said no, Mr. Cruz needs to be present for all of the proceedings. She did allow him to step aside when it came down to scheduling matters and things of that nature because, let's face it, Mr. Cruz is not going anywhere. He also didn't want to be present for a hearing related to a case where he has allegedly assaulted a detention facility officer. So Mr. Cruz kind of wants to do his own thing on his own time, and simply doesn't like to follow the rules. Kind of shocking, right? Anyway, this kid is facing the death penalty. He should be involved. He should have to listen to the evidence, hear what's taking place, so there's no way that he can ever claim that he did not receive effective assistance and counsel by him not being there. And frankly, he should be there when all the testimony is laid out of the victims and their families and what they've had to go through. It's just part of the process, okay? And not picking sides, but the defense has constitutional rights, but the state and the government also have a constitutional right to get these matters tried. And if he doesn't want to be there or try and delay things, they can basically strap him to the chair and make him watch and listen. I've seen that done before. And of course, if they have complete outbursts, then they can be removed from the proceedings. But just simply not wanting to go to court is not a reason in a criminal case. The defendant must be present for all critical stages of the proceedings. We'll see how Mr. Cruz fares in the future, but his attitude definitely is not showing one of remorse, and not certainly showing an attitude as to maybe he has some redeeming qualities so that a jury will not ultimately convict him and sentence him to death. We'll see how it goes. All right. So we have two contestants for the Dumb Criminal of the Week today, and that was because we didn't do a video yesterday because I was traveling back from Durango, Colorado, and so we're going to have two contestants today. And on a complete sidebar here, can I just say, every now and then something takes place in court where it almost restores your faith in mankind. And when a client follows your advice and they go off and they do something, and the court actually gives them the opportunity to kind of see if they can redeem themselves and just do well, and they do it, and everybody is pleasantly surprised that it actually happened, because so many times doing criminal defense work, it's just disappointing that you try to set people up for success and they either sabotage it for themselves or they just don't even try. And when it actually works, it almost restores your faith in mankind, recharges the batteries of doing what you're doing, that maybe you are doing a little bit of good. And sometimes even the judges realize that, every now and then they can actually save a life, and we can get somebody some treatment versus, warehousing them in a prison for the next 10 years. So that's why we didn't do a video yesterday. It just took a little longer than expected, and getting back here wouldn't have just Didn't work out. So today, we have two contestants for the Dumb Criminal of the Week. The first contestant is a young woman by the name of Samantha Mears, and she is 20 years old. Miss Mears suffers from some psychological defects. In fact, she was actually sentenced in the state hospital after her trial because what she did was she went to her boyfriend's house, was lying in wait, and when he got to the house, she forced him at machete point to undress, and they engaged in intercourse. He attempted to stop, and when it did in fact stop, he called the police. She was ultimately charged and arrested with a sexual assault by force, and based upon the testimony, even though she'll still have to register as a sex offender, she was sentenced to the Montana State Hospital where this matter was held. She has a history of mental illness, so she did a very, very dumb thing. And I guess her benefit for her is that she does have a mental disease and or defect, but it's still pretty dumb. I don't care what you're doing to sexually assault anybody at knife point, let alone machete, for anyone. So that's that particular contestant. She's not a strong runner for that simply because she does have a mental disease. Now, our next contestant, so really today's contestant, would be a man by the name of Stephon Johnson. So Stephon Johnson, 27, was having an argument at his home with his cousin. Not exactly sure what they were arguing about, but apparently upset Mr. Johnson so much that he picked up a cage that contained a chihuahua and threw the cage at his cousin. Ultimately, the police were charged, and he is charged with battery. I'm surprised he wasn't charged with some sort of animal cruelty charge, but perhaps those will be forthcoming. So now the big question becomes, who is the Dumb Criminal of the Week? Starting in reverse order, Mr. Johnson, the chihuahua thrower, Miss Mears, the woman that can get straight to the point with her machete, the Greenwich Village Police Department right here in Colorado, who, while chasing a shoplifter from Walmart who ran into a house, and after a standoff, the Greenwich Village Police Department basically destroyed the house with explosive devices and incendiary devices, and basically says we don't have to pay for it. I think they're a strong contender. And finally, Manuel Paez Sanchez, whom was stopped while driving ultimately to North Dakota. And when questioned by the police as to where he was coming from, he was stated that he was coming from Yellowstone National Park and that he was there to see Yogi Bear, which of course led the police to believe that he had no idea what he was talking about, which led to the further arrest and the seizure of multiple pounds of methamphetamines. And now Mr. Paez Sanchez is doing 15 years in the Bureau of Prisons. So those are your contestants, and the winner is, I think it's the Greenwood Village Police Department. It's unanimous. And let's see a show of hands. Come on. Who agrees with me? Yes. It's the Greenwich Village Police Department. And you know what? We may just hand deliver them a Crime Talk mug because they're so close. So that's Crime Talk for today. We appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't noticed, we just went over 67,000 subscribers, which would not be possible without each and every one of you. So I personally thank you very much. So tell a friend, subscribe, hit that little bell so you receive notifications, watch those videos. We appreciate it. And as always, leave a comment because we do want to know what you have to say. Today, let's talk about Patrick Frazee. Do you think he's going to get a fair trial? I want to hear what you have to say. Have a great day.